Hello everyone, and welcome to Nora Speaks. My name is Nora, and today I'm going to be talking about how to apply to SLP graduate school. I will be going through all the steps, and this video will be helpful for people that are undergrads applying to grad school, as well as people in their post-bac year. I can't wait to get started, so let's go. So these are what I view as the steps to applying to SLP graduate schools and deciding on schools. I'll be going over the application requirements, how to make a list of schools, information about the GRE, your letters of recommendation, your personal statement, and how to choose a school. For your application, you will want to complete prerequisite coursework, which I will explain later in the video. You want to obtain 25 observation hours at least from either your clinical observation class, SLPs that are certified in your community, or both. With the GRE, I won't be talking about tips for actually taking the exam, but I will go over the structure of the exam and what's most important as a prospective SLP graduate student. With your personal statement, if you choose not to watch the more detailed section of this video, what you need to do is tell your story and show yourself and your passion for this field. Like with other undergraduate applications, send in your transcripts and letters of rec. Have a resume that is up to date and shows yourself. For more information about resumes, I'll be putting a link in the description. Finally, you need an application fee. These are the ASHA prerequisites that you need to have done to obtain your SLP master's degree. Some of these will be built into your program, but others will not, such as biology, stats, social science, and physical science. I recommend taking these at the undergrad level, but you can take those at any point before you get your master's degree. What should you consider when making your list of schools? Think about a number. I recommend between 5 and 9. Too many and it's too much work, and too little, maybe you won't feel confident that you'll get into a school. It's nice to have options, although this is not the best method for everyone. With location, it's good to think about where you want to be. After you graduate and have your degree and start getting jobs, you might want to go somewhere that will have connections with the places you want to live. If you want to live near home, apply to places near home. Do not try and apply to places you don't think you'll go to. It is just a waste of money and your personal time. When thinking about cost and financial aid, think about how much this is important to you and how much you can afford. You really don't want to break the bank when picking a school, and I'll talk a little more about that later. And look at what opportunities they have for you to get a lower cost in your school. With clinic and externships, you want to make sure there's a variety. Even if you have a certain specific clinical interest, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't explore other areas and at least have some basis knowledge of them. It's really valuable for when you're getting jobs in the field that you explored many areas. On the other hand, if you do have a personal interest, make sure that the school matches that interest. Some schools have a lot of research and are more research-based, while others focus more on the clinic. If you really love research or really hate research, make sure your school doesn't require research or has a lot of research opportunities. You really want your school to be perfect for you. There are 3 parts to the GRE: quantitative reasoning or math, where you can score between 130 and 170, verbal reasoning with the same scoring, and analytical writing 0 to 6. The quantitative reasoning is the math portion of the GRE. This looks at solving math problems, interpreting quantitative information, using the basic math concepts such as algebra, geometry, statistics. There is an emphasis on reasoning different math problems, which is important in research. The second portion is the verbal reasoning. This is a lot about reading, drawing conclusions, determining theme and multiple levels of meaning, and summarizing texts and major and minor points. This is all about the relationship and meanings of words. The third part is the analytical writing. This is all about writing an essay with a strong argument, reasons and examples, and accompanying evidence. Looking back, I realized this is important for evidence-based practice to Back up your treatment skills and why they are important so that your patients and clients can get the services they need. From my past experience, I would say that although the math is still something you should work on, it is not the main focus of people in the admissions committees. Verbal reasoning and analytical writing are more important as SLPs, and therefore, if you score higher on those areas and not as high on the math, you still will have a great chance at getting into the school that you love. Letters of recommendation. How many should you have? You should have between 2 and 3. Make sure to check how many are required and allowed in case you can submit optional letters of recommendation, and who they need to be from. Some schools only allow it from academic professors or employers, so a person you shadowed or who mentored you might not be sufficient. Who should you ask? As an undergraduate student and beyond, make sure to make connections with faculty so that they, one, know you, will say yes when you ask for a recommendation, and they can share your strengths and passion as a student. If you don't do that, your letters of rec will be weaker. When should I ask? As early as possible. I asked the semester before I applied, or May, and that is not too early. Provide the people you ask with your resume or your CV, and your strengths and weaknesses couldn't hurt to share either. A professor asked me for this, and it was a great idea. Give them an organized list of all their deadlines, follow up, and once they write your recommendation, make sure to give a thank you gift. Do it. Your personal statement. I'm going to be real here. This can be the difference between getting in or not getting into your school that you want to go to. So put the effort in, especially if you're worried about your grades or scores. Pour yourself into this essay and why you're in this field. What are you passionate about? That will get you into a program. The next equally important thing to do is to do your research on schools. Look at professors and what they're researching or what their clinical areas of expertise are. Include in your essay who you might want to work with from that school and why. That shows you put the time in to research the school, what they specialize in, and how you might fit in at that school. What can you bring to that school? That's what they really want to know. They want to get to know you, so show your passion. Tell your story of how you got into this field, or what might set you apart. Are you a person who had a speech therapist when you were younger? Do you have a sister or a brother or a family member with special needs? Things like that. But there are so many things that make you unique, and you know yourself. Grad schools are competitive, but they're really looking for passionate people ready to learn and ready to put in the work to be in this field. If you're at this point in the video, you've got into grad school. Congratulations. Take the time to celebrate. This was actually the hardest time for me, so I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can make your decision. The first thing that I did while I was doing this along the whole process is making a comparison spreadsheet with all the important factors such as cost, location, externship opportunities, extra coursework we were allowed to take, things like that. You should also visit the schools, if you can, to get a feel of what they're like and talk to students and faculty face to face. Notice who shows up and doesn't show up to the events. That shows how they care. When you're at the schools, or virtually, which is more common now, ask questions to the students and the faculty. Ask them, why did you choose to come here? What do you think sets this school apart from other programs? What opportunities do you have, and how did you get them? Do they have to seek out opportunities? Are there lots of opportunities available? Those kind of things. I really recommend, though, that you go with your gut. At the end of the day, with the help of my parents, that's what I did, and I don't regret any aspect of my decision at all. I also meant to make sure that you ask about externships. Are the students happy with their opportunities, and did they receive a lot of support in finding them? Maybe the school searches for them, or they guide them in the right direction to do so. The last thing I want to address is reputation and ranking. I was really conflicted about this as I got into a higher ranked school but wasn't going to choose it because of cost. I was worried that this was going to give me a disadvantage. But in this field, really, the fact that you have a degree is just really what matters to employers. It doesn't really matter where you got it, and especially far down the line. So don't worry too much about that from my experience. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope this helped you have a little bit of guidance and less stress about this process. Make sure to follow me on all of these links below and check out the description for some of the resources I mentioned in the video. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment or email me using my email in the description. Have a great day, everyone, and stay safe.